All right, let's go ahead and do the intro. And ready, Mikey?
Yep.
Here we go.
Going live?
What's up? I'm Sam Maxon, aka Slammin' Sam. I'm a DJ, actor, philanthropist, self-proclaimed Renaissance man. When I'm not in the studio, I'm diving into my hobbies and exploring many interests. With that comes my personal uncensored insights on anything and everything. Are you ready for it? This is The Slam Show.
Hey guys, welcome to The Slam Show. I'm the guest host for this time, and I go by Witty or Mike Witty, really Witty. You probably see me on some videos, on YouTube. You probably see me on your social media. We have a living legend right here with us right now. He goes by the name of Cung Lee. You've seen him in movies. You've seen him in MMA, UFC, all of that. So we are very excited tonight to have, like I said, a legend here representing the Bay, representing San Jose, representing just the Vietnamese community. And, so how are you doing, Cung? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, representing the Asian community. Just because, I want to exclude any other Asian nationalities out there. I just feel like you got to represent them all, under one umbrella. United we strong, and apart we're weak.
That's right. You know what? That's why he's Cung Lee. Well, I want to start with this. I had the pleasure to be on set with Cung Lee recently. New movies he's working on, and you know what? He has a lot of passion. I could just feel it when he's talking to me and seeing him, acting on set. Why don't you just share with the people what you got going on? What is this new movie you got going on, and why are you so passionate about it?
Basically, everything I do with the passion. Whether it comes to being a husband or a father, or a coach, especially with kids, you got to show passion so they can have some passion and kind of follow your footsteps. And at the same time, when you work and you compete and do the best that you can do and be the best that you can be, so you set an example, and you got to kind of never let up and give people what they expect out of you, and in return it might get them to expect more out of themselves.
Gotcha. That's deep. So how about this new project that you got going on? What's do you mind sharing that with people? What
the project's called Codename the Dragon, and it first started with a sizzle reel. Kind of took a weird turn. We had a cast member, thought he was a little bit too big for the, for the project, and didn't think, it was more like an I in the team. Mm-hmm. And so we cut our losses and started over, and now it's even more powerful. And it's just it's a vehicle for myself and the Asian cast that I put together. But it takes place in modern time. It's called Codename the Dragon. It's basically I don't want to give too much away, but it's like everyone knows who James Bond is, but no one knows how James Bond becomes 007. Mm. And everyone from Jason Bourne to John Rambo to the badasses out there are already a badass. So you never get a chance to see how they become the badass. And, this character, I've been working on this character for over 2 years. The project's been closer to 4. I put 3 years in the making, but it's like more like development and, working with a lot of good writers and friends in, in the tactical industry and guys who served our country, and I asked them what they would like to see in a character, and then I just kind of put everything I kind of took in over the last 4 years and kind of developed a project and kind of made it a vehicle for myself, but at the same time I try to include as many up and coming, guys without the vehicle as possible. And I put together a team, and every piece that I needed is all started coming together, and kind of like the they say, get rid of the weakest link, and the weakest link got cut right away, and it just everything just came together. So like it's almost like a blessing from heaven with some of the things that happened, and I don't want to go into depth about that, but it just shows that if you keep your faith, no matter what happens, no matter all the roadblocks that gets in your way, if you keep focus and keep your faith and keep grinding, it's gonna all come together. And it's really coming together, this project. I'm not trying to be that guy who he's like the special forces or a soldier. I'm trying to take that everyday guy who works hard, who loves his wife and his kids and his family, and if it was taken away from him, what would you do? The question is, what would you do? And in my case, what would I do if I had help, if I had choices to make? And and basically this character's kind of it's who I would look up to, who I would want to be, and it's awesome to be able to play that character and give back everything that I've been working hard from the training with all the instructors, from Taryn to KC to all my buddies Matt and all the special forces guys that I got a chance to work with. Some of them are still active, so I won't even bring up any names, but it's just been a blessing working with Al from Zev, and just a team from Evoke Tactical and Ezeka Shield. They got some amazing high level guys that some of the things that they teach and bring up, I just have so much more respect for them, and it's hard to just have this little. It'll take days to explain everything that happens. I just got to say, all the hard work in the last 4 years, and my wife sacrificing and helping me through my retirement from fighting, and having something to focus on and put the energy that can put food on the table, is all coming together. So I think this project will, not just for the Asian community, but everyone who won't just look at my character as, oh, he's an Asian dude, but everyone will look at my character saying, man, what would I do if I was in that situation? What kind of character am I? Who am I? What am I made of? Well, would I do that? Of course I would. So that's kind of like the movie, the character, and I feel like it has all the elements, where, because the guy is not automatically badass. He has to earn it, he has to become it, and he has to live it. And he makes mistakes like every human being, not like an action star who never makes any mistakes. So it's kind of exciting for me to bring this guy to the big screen, and for everyone to follow.
Yeah, I think great. Put it in a great way, and we're excited about this movie. And also wanted to introduce my co-host Alex, aka Rock Rage.
Hey, hello.
He is a big fan of Kung Lee also.
Big fan of Kung Lee.
He got a couple of things that he wants.
I actually want to keep the ball rolling with this positivity, because we were talking about that family, and that's I think for a lot of people, that's where they get their core of energy and their motivation. And I see that in my brother and his family, and I'm like, man, how do you get to, you wake up every day and you do this, and it's like, oh, my family is that, you know what I mean? The bond. And I've seen you talk about this during the fights where they have you talking with the camera. And I remember you would talk about your family, your kids, how you would, how all the time in the gym, you would take away from your family. You know what I mean? Those times like that. So I remember that being a core element, and I'm loving that this is actually going similar with this film in this next project that you're doing. Just talk about that, how that transitioning from that time period with your family and things like that, because I think family is very important to make time for anytime you can.
First of all, I want to say hi to everyone because, we got live feed here on YouTube, and I got to say hi to my fans on Facebook. And, when it comes to family, I think there's a lot of guys out there that are single or the guys that are in a relationship. But when you have a wife who's completely supports you and you have kids and, your focus, and I believe without the wife and without the kids, you're unfocused because, there's a lot of distractions. You're chasing the the girls.
A little
and,
lost,
Yeah, and, like with my wife, I know it's a very tough job for her because, it's like she's so smart, but she has to basically, interact with children every day instead of have adult interaction. And, I'm just grateful for the blessing that I have, and so I work extra hard. So there's a big payoff for both of us, because in the end, our kids are going to go away, our kids are going to go to college, and they can only call us, hopefully, more than just on the holidays. And I feel that hopefully we created men out of the boys that, and the baby from the babies to the boys, and we help them become great men, and that's that. But at the end, it's just going to be me and the wife, and and we have to be able to continue to love and bring out the best in each other and never lose that challenge and making the other person happy. And that's the key. I learned a lot from her. Before being a fighter, you're very selfish, and it's you against that other opponent. So like your focus is just I'm gonna smash this guy. I'm gonna put my shin in his neck, and that's the mentality that you have to have as a fighter. But now when you realize the strength behind everyone says behind every successful man there's a very strong woman. Actually, that it's very true, and I live it and I breathe it, and I'm grateful for it. And I thank God every day that I have a strong wife. So
yes, and you talk about faith too, which I think a lot of not necessarily fighters, but a lot of people you and I talk to, they don't really bring that up. But I see that you're very passionate about even just that term alone.
Faith for me is also another key element to success. Because if you don't have faith, then how can you have faith in yourself? You got to have faith in the higher power, because with all the things that has happened from when I was born all the way till now, there's special moments, and those special moments have to be created by a higher power. There's you can deny it if you want, but for me, the faith and the family and everything that when you connect all those pieces, you become that much more stronger and successful and positive, and you bring that energy into the world.
Okay. Wow, that was deep. I wanted to say a happy holidays to everyone out there that's tuned in right now. It is that time of the season. And then we're talking about family, so make sure you spend some time with your family, or get your family some nice things if you can. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy, but bring some joy into their lives, and make them smile. It's great for the holidays. And I wanted to, I guess, segment into just, I think the question is, what do you enjoy more, acting or fighting in the MMA, or just fighting and training in general?
All right. That's a really good question. A lot of people ask me that question, not just for the interview, but just because they want to know. So I think for all the fans, for you, there's a different rush in when you're inside a ring or inside a cage and you're up against another athlete, another human that can do the same kind of damage as you could, and when you're up, it's like the top of your game versus someone who's in their prime, or even when you're not in your prime and you're fighting someone who's in their prime. It's the challenge, and it's the biggest difference between fighting and acting is you make one mistake in fighting, it could be all over. There's no second take, third takes, or a cut. There's no director to save you. Say, hey, Kung, the line was this, not what you're trying to say right now. In fighting, you don't listen to your corner, or you think you're too good. You think you can dominate. You get cocky, and you can be looking up at the lights. Luckily for me, I majority of my wins are by knockout, and as an amateur, I had a great amateur career, and I didn't suffer that many defeats. But when I did suffer the defeat, I learned more from the defeat, and even though I feel like I'm a humble person, it humbled me even more. But it kept me hungry, and it made me want to create more of that beast so I can come back even stronger. And with acting, it's to me it's almost easy because you're in that moment. You have a library. Everyone's been through so many different emotions, right? You've cried, you laugh, you joy. There's sad. Everyone is faced with something in life, and you have that in your memory bank. And when you act, you just got to be in that moment, and you got to draw from those experiences, and you deliver it with passion and with the love that you have, and the experience that you have, and because you have that opportunity, do it the best that you can do it, and you prepare for it. So when you come prepared, you're going to be on your A game, and you deliver it. And there's hard, unless you're one of those guys that choke, and you train hard and you end up choking it under the big lights. There's some cases of that, but it's just a matter of time because you put enough hard work. It's just a matter of time before you start crushing your scenes, or if you're a fighter, you start crushing other fighters. That's it. There's, you can't deny hard work. Hard work always pays off.
That's true. And I want to touch on that just a little bit real quick because I remember in a lot of action movies that you're known for, martial art movies, obviously, but Pandorum was a sci-fi thriller at the time, and I remember seeing you at WonderCon promoting it. You were there on the panel with the actors, and I just remember seeing you live there as a fan because I went to San Francisco. I was like, oh, let me go. And my friend Lynn was like, hey, you got to come here. We got to go to this panel. And this is when the movie just came out. This was for the trailer. The movie was in theaters or anything, but I remember going there like, holy crap, that's Kung Lee. Right there, on stage. It's like, I've seen him in UFC. I've watched them, and it's one of those like, oh man, that's crazy right there. So I remember how you were pretty much talking with the crowd, how you conducted yourself, and it's so similar to then to now. You know what I mean? It's very humble, and you can see that even in your fights, most people will have threats or all like a lot of things. I just remember like, oh, I'm gonna knock him out, but you know what I mean? You had like this vibe. I was like, man, who does that? How many, I don't know that many people that can just be like really calm, cool, collected, but then still have like, when I'm going in the cage, oh, I'm a monster. But outside I have, you know what I mean, some reverence to myself.
Basically you got to have an on and off switch for everything, especially when you're a fighter, right? You got to have your on switch. It's when the opponent's standing across from you, or when your trainer's saying kick the pad harder, and spar. Go through as many sparring partners as you could. Drop them down without knocking them out. Take them out. Push them out. Score your points, and then get prepared for the fight. And when you're in the fight, you got to turn on that beast mode. And when you're an actor, you got to turn on that performance mode. You got to be that person, that character. But at the same time, that's not just acting. Acting is you got to study the character. You got to know what you expect out of him and what is in that moment, because there's a whole bunch of scenes before that. Even though if the scene's not shown, you got to come into that moment, and you got to feel what had happened to this character and why he's feeling this way and why he's acting this way and why the action that he's, going to do or doing, why he's doing it. There's got to be a reason behind something, and I got a chance to learn from the best, and some of the best directors in China, from action to Wong Kar-wai is an actor's director. And right now, I'm working with my friend who really surprised me. He said he directed like 4 short films, and Sam Medina, he plays the villain in my character. And when we had a little issues on the first shoot with another actor, another first-time actor, and got to his head real quick. Basically, Sam came on and just took over that directing part, and man, it was like it's like, people would be like, oh wow, you're going to compare him to Wong Kar-wai. No, Sam is on his own level, but on the same level as a Wong Kar-wai, because he knows his craft, he knows what he wants, and man, he was just cranking through those scenes, and to tell the story through the camera, through the lens, and so the audience can appreciate and follow this guy's journey. Sam is one of those cutting edge guys who I'm glad to have brought him on the team, and he's going to surprise a lot of people, and I think this film's going to surprise a lot of people, because we're not just basing this film on action. Oh, trust me, this film, when you see the action, you're gonna be on the edge of your seat, because this guy's he's not unstoppable. He's a guy who, he's like an everyday guy, but you're gonna because what happened to him, you're gonna cheer for him, and you're gonna hope he doesn't get too beat up. And I've been there. I've been, my last fight, Michael Bisping put a little good ass whipping on me, but that was in my memory, and I did the best I could under that situation, and that's this character is going to do the best he could under any situation that we have there, and we have a great team. That how this thing's all coming together. I feel confident that this film will surprise a lot of people and surprise Hollywood. And we're actually not going to make it a domestic film. We're actually going to go international. It's going to be an international film brought here.
Yeah,
because it's hard to compete here with the budgets, right? The budgets of the Hollywood films are ridiculous, and a lot of it is paying these big name actors, and not all big name actors can guarantee a box office.
Yeah, I think they rely a lot on them.
Yeah, and then at the same time, all the money's not spent right, and that's a fact. And it depends on who's helping you produce it and who's doing their jobs or not. And I think if we do it for the right budget and have the right action and have the right drama and the characters are developed, I think people are even like, damn, that was a awesome, excuse my Vietnamese, but a fucking movie.
Cool. Yeah, so make sure you remember that movie name. It's called Codename the Dragon. Starring Kung Lee. I got a little small role in there, so you might want to check that out. But yeah, and also we have some mutual. Me and Kung Lee have some mutual friends. We want to shout them out real quick. Evoke Tactical or Apparel. Those are some really good guys. Thanks to those guys for just connecting a lot of things and making things happen behind the scenes. And I wanted to switch gears a little bit and ask a question that I think a lot of people do want to know. A lot of your fans probably don't know this and haven't heard about this, or just curious, has anyone ever tried to pick a fight with you? Is in any public space or at a restaurant, at a bar, or something like that? And what happened? Has anyone ever tried to test Kung Lee, the MMA champ?
Another great question. It's been a while. Okay, right now there's always someone who's trying to test Kung Lee out there. Especially behind the screen right here. There's always like people trying to talk their, excuse my Vietnamese, their fucking shit. But it's okay. Everyone who talks, they have the right to talk. Right? It's a free country, so you can talk all you want, but you talk behind the screen. And then there's some people that has their friends talk for them. You know who I'm talking about. And The last time was when I was in a pro. I was an amateur fighter, and I was super tired, and I pulled up to this supermarket. I'm not sure if you guys know this supermarket. It's a P&W, right? I just need to lay down after my second training, and back then I didn't have the right nutrition. I didn't drink enough water, and I felt like dehydrated and exhausted. So I just laid my seat back and just tried to take a little quick nap, and all of a sudden I heard a bang. So I opened the car door, and this dude had slammed his door, and he was getting something in the passenger side, and I was just like, damn, I just shook my head, but in my head I was saying, what a fucking asshole. and the next thing I know, I was going to go in the store, and when I closed the door, I got clipped. I saw stars. And then I turned back, and, thank God for the reaction. I saw another punch coming, and I luckily I slipped, I moved out of the way, and it clipped my shoulder. But as it clipped my shoulder, I grabbed his shirt, and I banged him on his car, and right when I was going to bang him in my car, I swung him around because I was like, that's my car. And I slammed him back in his car, and I hip threw him, and he flew feet to back onto the concrete. And right when I was going to slam him down in his head into the concrete, I looked up, and there was like 10 faces looking at me through the Starbucks window. And I just like, oh shit. And then as I got up, I pushed off, and then he was like laying there kind of stunned. And I went into the store, got groceries. As I came out, he was there with the cop. And the cop was like, this guy's going to press charges on you. I'm like, oh, wait, because, I used to get Starbucks. So I ran inside and I said, hey, can you come out here and, you guys seen what happened? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, okay, well, they're going to press charges. Came out, had 2 witnesses. One was a worker there. And they said, this guy, sucker punched me, and I was defending myself. And now the situation turned. The cop goes, you want to press charges? And I was like, oh, man, I want to press charges for him. But I didn't. I just said, oh, no, he's just, he must be having a bad day. And, I forgive you. And both the cop and him had this weird look. I just... Anything else? And he's all, you can pay for my Ray-Bans. I just laughed, and I said,
he should have been praying to those 10 people that saw him. Like when you looked up, he's like, if those people weren't there.
Yeah.
Woo.
So yeah. I just said, may I go now? And got in the car and drove off. That's the only incident. Any other incident, I choose to walk away because I know what I'm capable of doing. And if some, joker's gonna go and get in the way, shoulder check me, or talk some smack over the internet, or diss me in a certain way, and it is what it is. They are who they are, and they have to live with themselves. So I think living with themselves is a karma in itself. So I don't need a fight. I spar 3 times a week. I got my partner Donnie Creed, and all the guys over at Elk Grove Muay Thai. The guys that show up, and give me rounds, and the trainers over there that holds pads for me. I'm grateful. I get my adrenaline rush. I get to punch people in the face, so I don't need to go out in the streets to do that. I get my fix in the gym, and and that's good enough. But I know for a fact if I ever need to defend myself, I rather walk away, because an average person taking a punch or a kick from a fighter of my level, it could mean death.
R.I.P.
Or you can be a wheelchair. Yeah. That's how it is.
Well, I mean, bullies are everywhere.
Yes.
But I remember in an interview as well, you talked about that's one of the things, correct me if I'm wrong, that kind of led you into like self-defense and getting the MMA, bullies and things like that. I've been bullied before too, and I remember that was an outlet where people say, go to the gym, you know what I mean, maybe karate or something, you know what I mean, something to kind of build your confidence up and protect yourself in incidents, even at a school level. When you're really young. Was that true for you?
Yes. When I was younger, I was a small, skinny Asian kid, and I was bullied a lot. But, how I look at it now, in a way, you got to kind of feel sorry for the bullies, maybe their dad beats them. maybe their
they
mom
say
doesn't give them
bullies,
enough attention.
Their parents usually bully their
or their brothers,
kids,
treat them wrong, and the father or the mother doesn't teach them, give them love and help them be that better person. So it's not really their fault. They just got to get stopped. But I don't think nothing excessive unless they're that kind of person that looks for it and enjoys it, and then there's something really wrong with them. Then then they can take one of my shin kicks to the face. But other than that, you just gotta feel sorry for them and maybe try to help them so they understand it.
Yeah, and I brought up self-defense, but also when you get into like martial arts or any type of sport, it builds your confidence up, and instead of defense, you kind of build your mind, like you're just saying that. Instead of you kind of feel sorry for them, you know what I mean? But you also think, you think a little bit more wiser, and you know what I mean? And you're around people that have that kind of similar thinking. So it's one of those things where you might see a situation like before and go, oh, this is how I'm going to react. But now, with that mindset now, it's like, maybe it's not that big. Maybe I shouldn't have to say these things to initiate an argument because it's not worth going there.
Very correct. And see, as you see on there, it's just a funny joke from Norman Ho. We love you, Norman.
What up, Norman?
But Norman just says Mike says he can take you. But
never that.
These are the fun things, right? These are the fun things, and people have fun like that. But when people like really call you out on the internet, you're like, please, here's the address. I train at Elk Grove Muay Thai every day. Please don't get on the internet. Just show up at the door and sign a waiver, and I'll happily give you some rounds, but you're going to pay for it because my time is worth money. So you pay for your ass whooping.
Wow. Well, we're going to have to say a prayer for homie that tried to test Kung Lee. Man, you made a bad mistake, man. That's man. Well, that's a great story, man. Glad I got that off. Got you to tell us a good story about that, because kids, man, don't try that at home, man. Don't even think about it, man. Don't even think about it. I think there was a personal question that I wanted to ask you also, and I think a lot of people also out there, your fans, want to know also, what kind of music is Kung Lee listening to, or are you listening to music when you're training, or not even just training, or in general? Like, what do you enjoy listening to? Because, music is universal, so I'm sure you got to be listening to something, right?
Believe it or not, I used to, back in the high school wrestling days, it was a lot of like Metallica, Beast, rock, and then the Beastie Boys, and Eazy-E, Too Short.
Nice.
Just all the big names, and anything that fires you up and keeps you going during wrestling practice. We used to listen to. The coaches were really cool about that, and yes, there was a lot of swearing, but it was a wrestling room, and we used to grind and try to throw each other on our heads. So it's now it's my wife has all these great musics, and sometimes I don't even know the song. I just listen to what they're saying, and she's always, you hear what they're saying? I'm like, yes, I do. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think another one that I think a lot of people might not be aware of is, I'm not aware of either, and it's what was it that helped you break through into acting in Hollywood? Was it a specific role or a specific movie or TV show or whatever? How did Kung Lee break into Hollywood, mainstream Hollywood?
First of all, I think Kung Lee's still trying to kick down a few doors. There's a lot of doors you have to go through in Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. So you get through the first few doors, and then the doors get thicker. And you try to knock on those doors, and the knocking doesn't work. Then I try to spin kick it, and when the door starts cracking, you either walk through it, and sometimes when you see what's going on, it is what it is. I'm an Asian character. I'm always going to be that guy who plays the gangster or the triad, or someone who's going to make the hero look good, because I'm a big Asian guy, and I can move, and I can punch, and I can kick, and I can deliver the bad guy scene, right? So, breaking in Hollywood is it's like an ongoing thing. You break one door down, there's another door. It's like you climb one mountain, there's another mountain to climb, and that's what I like about the challenge, right? It's like already in the world we live in is, I'm lucky to be this, Strike Force middleweight champion, former champion, and fight in the UFC. So it's easy to be accepted. But I realize there's a lot of people that, for them, because they're Asian and they're minority or any nationality, that it's hard to be accepted as any leading man, or even just to play that guy who has a bunch of dialogue and have a meaning in the movie. So it's
Right.
It's a big time challenge, and sometimes you knock hard enough, but then you realize here's a mountain, and there's really no path that's safe. So you have to make your own. So that's what I'm doing now with this project, is I'm making my own path. I got to get to the top my own way, and I got to dig my own path and make it that way. And so, I think that's, Bruce Lee paved the way, and he went back to China and he did that. And, now if you don't evolve with the time, you become extinct.
Yep.
So I think I need to evolve, and instead of, going to Asia, and even in Asia, I still play the bad guy, but recently I got a chance to play a good guy, and in one of the movies, I almost gave it away. Thank God I didn't give it away, but, creating my own path is what I'm doing now, and I think I put together a good enough team, and I definitely got an amazing director. Sam, I'm giving you a lot of plug because you work hard and you grind, and your wife is amazing too. And that everyone from Evoke Tactical to Ezeka Shield, and even you here, you came on, and everyone did this for free. And it's an amazing thing that I've been blessed with, and I guarantee you, we probably will not release the short film. We'll have a little screening, and we will give away some free, passes for people in the Bay Area to come and watch it. But we're going to save, because some of the scenes in there are so amazing. I got to say, we had a graveyard scene, and we had these big birds there, either hawks or big, just amazing birds in the sky flying around, hogging the scene, and it just made it that much better. And it's just everything about this film, when we got rid of the thorn in it, it became like amazing. Like it was like a gift from heaven. Every scene was so intense, and it was just it's hard to explain.
Wow. So, is there a specific? For the fans, this is really for the fans. So, or for the people who are just getting to know who you are, what would you suggest them watch? Like, is there one specific movie that you would say, you know what, if you want to get to know Kung Lee, you need to watch this movie, or you got to watch. I have a great role here or a great role there. Like, is there one or maybe two movies that you might say, you know what, for the new people who are just getting to know me, you should check out this movie, or you should check out this clip, or
Okay, so there's going to be three things. Okay, first of all, one, if you're a moviegoer and you don't know me as a character, check out Pandorum or Dragon Eyes, right? And even this movie called Puncture Wounds, I think I delivered a good character in that. But if you don't know me as a fighter, go watch my fight against Frank Shamrock. That was like the best performance that I've delivered for the fans. That lasted 3 rounds, and it's a 5-round fight. And if you haven't seen that fight, then you need to watch that. Then you'll know what kind of fighter I am, and the respect that I have, and then you can judge for yourself. And then with the movies, it's there's I've been blessed to do all the movies I've gotten to do, and I enjoy every director I've worked with. But the 3 movies right now is Pandorum, Puncture Wounds, and Dragon Eyes. But other than that, if you like the Chinese movie Bodyguard and Assassin, where you see me play a villain, and me and Donnie Yen, we throw down hard, and but I guarantee you, all those will be put together. Even the fight and the drama of the fight and the drama of any movie that I've done will be in Codename the Dragon.
Wow. All right. Yeah, let's switch it over to something today because, we follow each other on social media, and what I saw today, it looks like you were hanging out with Daniel Wu, which, if you guys don't know, he's kind of a big time guy who's kind of in Hollywood. I think you guys are into the Badlands together. Is that right?
Yes, Daniel Wu and I, we go back a long time. He's back in the day. He was training out of this kung fu club called Wushu Academy, or National Wushu Training Center. And after the World Championships, I took bronze, and the owner there, Debbie, and her husband, Eric Chen, they hired me once a week. They flew me out, and I trained everyone from Wednesday, and I would go home late on Thursday. So I actually had 2 days there. And Daniel Wu was one of those guys who was dedicated and came in for fight training. He wanted to learn how to spar and fight and mix it up. So I got a chance to work with Daniel Wu back then, and the crazy thing is after he just came in when I was about to stop, because it was starting to catch up to my regiment of like training for fights and going to tournaments. So after a year of doing that, I kind of got burnt out, and I told myself, I think I made enough money to between teaching at home and going out there and doing privates out there and teaching classes, I think I have enough just to focus on the next world championship. So I stopped going out there, and I didn't meet Daniel again till we started filming The Man with the Iron Fist, and it was just like how we got along there. We got on set, and we picked up where we left off, and just talked about like life. And by that time we were both married, and we talked about our wife and how he wanted to work on having kids, and I was like, you better hold off on that, because kids are tough, so and so he's taking a break from Into the Badlands, and obviously he if you haven't watched it, me and him we had a good fight session in season 2, and he's filming season 3, and congratulations to him. He's got the 3rd season, and they actually doing like two like enough episodes for like The Walking Dead now. They filmed 16 episodes. They'll show 8, and then they'll show another 8 at the end of the year. And so I'm excited for him, but he there's a lot of work that he's putting in. He's a very hard worker, and he's a great guy. He came out to visit me over at Evoke Tactical. We hooked him up with some bags and some color changing glasses that they have that are ballistic, and
nice.
He was talking about this pastrami place. I posted that on my Instagram about burgers with the pastrami, right? Yeah, because that was my first time eating it. Man, I gotta stop right there. That's my first and last time, because it was really good, but you can tell it's really salty, and then after too much of that, you might have a heart attack or something. But it was great, and he came out. We hung out for a few hours and caught up, and then hopefully before he goes back, and we'll do him and his wife and me and my wife will do like a couple of things before he goes back into the Badlands. Yeah.
Okay. So was that your first TV gig, Into the Badlands?
No, I being a MMA fighter, I got a chance to work on NCIS LA or something like that. Just as a strike force fighter,
right?
Just like we were just training, right? And then I got a chance to play a villain boss, which I didn't get a chance to fight at all on Hawaii 5-0, which that was my first time I did straight acting. And I was like, man, I need to shoot someone or throw someone on their heads or kick someone, but it didn't happen. And their loss for not using my martial arts skills, but their gain for letting me be the Yakuza boss. like I said, I'm stereotyped, in Hollywood. I'll just play the gang boss or the guy who is the hitman.
Well, let me jump on there real quick. My background's in theater arts, and I've been in the background. I help build sets for local theaters in the Bay Area Children's Theater, and also with the Lesher Theater of Arts in Walnut Creek. When it comes to acting in theater arts, one of the first things my teacher was teaching me was like, yeah, however you look, that's going to be essentially your stereotype. How America or the TVs are going to see you. That's how they're going to kind of promote you. So when they told you that, or was it shocking to you, like, or did you kind of assume like, okay, well, they need me for this character when you first started,
Actually, Norman Holt just mentioned something. Yes, I was on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh.
Thank you, Norman. I've done my fair share, and I feel blessed for being a fighter where I got a chance to taste, being part of a TV show and doing movies. But, the stereotype, it just when you're so excited about when you first start out, you're like, oh, I got a part. It doesn't matter what part you do. You're gonna go out there and do it and perform to the best of your abilities, and then when you start like building your resume and you're like, okay, I'm acting next to Ben Foster now, and that dude's like, he's like he paces back and forth before scene like a fighter paces back and forth before a fight, and I'm like, oh yeah, this can be fun, right? So it's how you deliver your character, and if you have an opportunity and you stand out, you're gonna stand out. If you get a chance to watch Pandorum, there's a scene where I step on his neck, right? And then he walked over to me and he was like really intense, but he's like a really nice guy. He goes, "Hey, Cung, I want you to just surprise me, and whatever you do, you do." I'm like, okay, I'll make sure I don't, I know there's a scene I step on you, so I'll go gentle. He's like, no, do what you have to do. I'm like, okay, maybe you don't know I'm a fighter, but okay. I'll say I'll go medium. He's like, no. You just throw me down, and I go, you like the method acting? And he's like, oh yeah, just totally. And I'm watching him. He's pacing back and forth, and he's like getting all intense. I'm like, damn, should I be pacing back and forth right now? Because I feel like he's getting me pumped up here, right? And the funny thing is, I didn't get nervous at all because Ben Foster at the time, my manager, he told me, man, Ben Foster's an intense actor. He's gonna try to steal all the screen time. He's just that guy who just naturally engulfs the screen because he's that powerful. And I was like, cool, it's like a challenge, like these little actors can't hurt me, right? So I went out there with a certain confidence. I came in, rescued him in the scene, threw him down, and as soon as I threw him down, I was like, I heard him, whoa, and I'm like, oh shit, that must be real, right? So I stepped on him, but like my light is someone's hard, right? So when I stepped on him, I'm like, man, motherfuckers, say your dialogue. He's like, he's joking. I'm like, I kept waiting, and I let go of my foot, and he's like, and he was catching his breath, and I'm like, you okay? He's like, yeah, that was just great, but can you move your foot down a little bit? Your foot was on my throat. I couldn't breathe. I'm like, oh, see, I told you I shouldn't go too hard. He's no. That was great, just not on my throat. I said, okay. Well, the scene says foot on the throat. He's like, just don't put it on my throat again. So, the next one I stepped on his chest, and he delivered his line, and he got up, and afterwards he's like, man, you're an intense dude. And I'm like, no, you're intense. You're pacing back and forth like a fighter, And then, funny, my manager came out, and and he was talking to Ben because he's known Ben since he was 19. Ben's all, man, that excuse my Vietnamese again, that motherfucker's crazy. He's intense. He's like, he just threw me down like a rag doll and just stepped on my throat. I'm like, man, see, you're the one who told me to do this, and now you tell me. But it was fun. So that's what's up. Yeah.
Crazy. So, I mean, for the, I know you have international fans, you have domestic fans, you have fans all over. So how does it feel to be, a kid from Vietnam to, come over to America and, have the level of success that, you've gotten and just continue to help kick down doors for every one of just people of color and minorities and Asians? How does it feel? I mean, how, to think back and, you were a kid from Vietnam, and that barely ever happens. That type of story just never happens. I'm just curious, how does it feel? And then when you look back, and maybe if you had some advice for kids that are trying to do what you're doing, wherever they are, maybe you have some advice for people that are trying to do what you do and trying to get there, and they have obviously a lot of barriers. But yeah, I think hearing from you firsthand would be tremendous advice.
First of all, I feel like, you know, my life's path has gone in so many different directions, right? So I feel like every time I turn a corner, there's another peak that I have to climb. And so I after I climb that peak, I look up and there's another peak. So when you look back and you look like down at what you've accomplished, if you stay there too long, then you might get you might lose focus to climb the next one. So I just look back real quick, and I'm on to the next thing. I can't enjoy the moment. You know, I feel like the moment could be enjoyed when I'm sitting on a beach with my wife drinking some, crazy tequila with, some snake, tongue in there or something. I'm one of those guys that I'm only good as my last performance, so I need to move on to my next one. And how am I going to deliver my next performance? So I'm one of those guys that I need the next challenge,
right?
And I'm not as I would say I used to be the adrenaline junkie because I want that next fight and I want to, throw someone on their, head and win the title. But make something inspiring for when you do something that is great and that trail that you blaze and you're on to the next one, let them try to catch you, and you want them to catch you, but you're creating that path, and you got to keep trailblazing for them to keep following the path. So if you stop, then when they get to where you're at and you're just sitting there, they're like, shit. Some of them might not go and create their path, so they might stop. So you got to keep going. And the more I go, the more of the path I create, and whoever wants to follow. Whoever don't, then that's their choice.
Well put. I'm sure you still have the itch to fight and you win a title and all that. But what is it you're focused on more these days, or maybe even the next 5 years? What do you envision your life and your career? Like, are you still, see yourself going back pro and fighting, or just kind of more focusing on entertainment?
Okay, that's another good question, right? I know a lot of you guys out there want to see me fight again, and I think sometimes it's been like 3 years now since I've gotten a chance to fight, and my last fight was against Michael Bisping, who's got the most win in the UFC, and it didn't go my way, and it's like almost like third time, 3 strikes. I had my 3 strikes, right? First time was I lost to Scott Smith because I was away from the sport of MMA for over close to 2 years, and then the second time I took a long layoff, and then I went back and I fought Vanderlei, and then the last one I took another long layoff and I lost to Michael Bisping, even though I was doing great. And then you're gonna it's like that saying, you're gonna live and die by the sword, right? So sometimes you gotta realize, okay, I in my head I think I can still have it. Now if they had a 1-round fight, 5 minutes, I think I dominate anyone. But it was tough. It was tough to retire. My wife got me through it. I was going through some hard times, and I really wanted to go in, but at the same time, UFC made it difficult, and I'm part of the class action against UFC for all the fighters. So I know there's a lot of fighters that can't do that because they depend on the paycheck, they depend on the fights. So I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be that voice, along with all the other fighters that that taking that chance and to give something, to give hope for the fighters in this class action against UFC. And then along that, I'm part of the group that's moving forward, which is MMAFA, and we're pushing for the Muhammad Ali Act that is in boxing, that protects all the fighters in boxing, for that bill to pass into MMA. Once that happens, man, UFC's got nothing. Any promotion's got nothing. It's going to be the fighters who's going to make the decision. It's going to be the free market for the fighters, and the promoters can have to say, this is what I made last fight, and this is what's on the table. So the fighters have the chance to negotiate on their for the best price for them, because without the fighters, there's no promotion. And without any promoters, there's always going to be fights, because another promoter will step up. Now, that's one thing that the UFC doesn't realize. And if there's no fighters, there's no promotion. There's nothing to promote. And so the fighters is the product, and the fighters should control their own destiny, and they should control the outcome of how much they get paid. And it shouldn't be a set price, because the boxers get to control what they get paid, especially the big names, because they're the one pulling and putting the butts in the seats. Mm-hmm. It's not the promoter. It's not Dana White. It's not Lorenzo who's putting seats in the butt. It's not the promotional dollars. Remember, they're promoting the fighters. So they're using the fighters to sell tickets, to sell the buys. And without the fighters, there's nothing. So the fighters should always be in control, and that's it. If you don't like it, then, you're not a fighter. You don't live behind, the gloves. So that's, I believe in that. That's why I'm fighting for it.
Wow. Yeah. Well, like I said, we are very happy that you've been able to share your stories and your wise words with us. I think we're getting to the point where we're slowly wrapping up now, and wanted to get to just shout outs and things like that. If you guys, I will start with Alex and see if you have any shout outs.
First of all, shout out to Mike Whitty hosting. Thank you for coming down to the Slam Show and hosting for us.
Thank you.
Also, the phenomenal Kung Lee. Been a big fan for many years. Watched your fights. Watch your movies. Dragon Eyes with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I remember that. I was like, oh, man, that's great. And then when you came back against Scott, you know what I mean? You had took that layoff. So I was like, there's so many things going in my head. It's like, man, it's incredible. Kung Lee sitting next to me. I got to be professional. So, but just shout out to family, friends who came out and watched the show. Big shout out to my friend Lynn, who actually, he took me from WonderCon to, hey, no, dude, you have to see this panel for Pandorum. So he was the one who kind of led me to go, oh, man. And then there's like all these connections. Like, easily just like that, I could have missed seeing you, at that event. Or, other events in the future. So, that's about it.
That's awesome.
Cool. And then, Kung, do you have anything you want to shout out and, make sure people check it out?
First of all, big shout out to God, my wife, my kids, and Evoke Tactical, Isaac Shield, and Dennis Norman, you're a funny guy on here. You guys check out Norman. He's a super funny guy. My team, my director, who on Codename the Dragon, Sam, his wife, CJ, Sharp, everyone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I thank you to all the fans, for your support, all the love, and I appreciate you, and I will keep making you guys proud and entertain you guys one way or another. And thanks for having me on the show.
Cool, man. A pleasure having you. And first I want to shout out Sam, a.k.a. Slammin' Sam, which is a legendary guy himself who's been consistently doing things like this show here, representing for the Bay Area and just people in general, just doing his thing. And I wanted to shout out, you said the good people over at Evoke Tactical, the good people at Aura Apparel, my team over at Best of the Next. You can see it, in Aura Apparel. Shout out to Aura Apparel for printing me out this nice new merch hoodie for the code season, and just check out. We got a lot of new music coming out. Check out my music videos at itswitty.com. And make sure you follow all of us on social media. I'm at Really Witty. You got Kung Lee here, Kung Lee 185. Is that right?
Yep, Kung Lee 185.
Make sure you follow him. And then we got Rock Rage.
Rock Rage Pro. At Rock Rage Pro, and everything else is Rock Rage and Pro.
Yeah, and I Am Slammin', right? I Am Slammin'. Make sure you follow I Am Slammin' on Instagram. And check us out. This show is going to be recorded, or is recorded. We're going to be putting it back out on YouTube. So if you didn't have a chance to tune in live, you can check us out when we drop the video version. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Witty. And Kung Lee here, special guest. Make sure you check us out when we drop the video.
Al Capone, you handle everything. Thank you.
Codename the Dragon.
Codename the Dragon, baby. Peace.